I'd like to call this meeting to order. At this time, we ask everyone to stand as we say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll make sure to remind everyone if our visitors to sign in. So is there any revisions, Mr. Saylor?
The only thing that was added within the last little bit, and there's really not what you would call any changes, but Stephen and I spent quite a bit of time today making sure that the salary schedule and the district staffing policy and everything aligned. And we found a couple little mistakes, not things that you all haven't already approved or we'd discussed in the past, but it's just corrections, and I want to have a final approval on the final copy. So it was added under consent, and we can talk about any of those things, but as I said, most of those items are all items that we approved. There was just some conflicts in days and stuff between the two different documents, and that's all cleaned up. But that's it, we've got no changes.
Okay. All right, our facilities construction update. I'm assuming Peter or Jeremy have a update on the Area Technology Center.
We got Jeremy with us, and Peter can chime in.
All righty.
All right, so I think we've made a lot of progress since the last time we've met. We're working on our substantial completion date. It's coming up quick as of 6/21, which is Monday. I'll kind of walk you through what we've been doing, and then I'll tell you our plans going forward. So we was able to get our flooring contractor to finally step up and start the flooring throughout the building. We went through a little defect in the flooring and had to switch out the flooring, and then labor was an issue, but we worked through those and was able to get a lot done. They're now on the first floor of Area A, finishing up the corridor, and that will be the last of the VCT delay. And then they'll jump over to the Pedway Tower and start laying that. So accent paints are up, frames and doors have been painted, wood doors are going in, casework is complete, signage is up, probably 90%, and just a lot of good things happening over there. So tomorrow I have my elevator inspection, and then I'll have my fire alarm inspection, and then I'll have my plumbing inspection, and then I got to turn those over to the state inspector on Wednesday, and that's when we'll get our temporary CO for Area A and Area B. Area Pedway Tower, it's a little bit behind on temporary CO as far as A and B, but it's not far behind. We are just a week behind that one, so we'll actually get the inspector over there probably the first week of July and get that temporary CO. Ceiling grid's up over there. We're just laying lights in the ceiling grid, and we got to bring in Dan for above ceiling inspection, and then we should be able to start doing our interior finishes. So a lot going on. Within the month there'll be a lot going on, so we can finish and have that grand opening on 23rd. But as of right now, we have no problem meeting that date. I'll be happy to take any questions, and feel free to go by and look at it. They got the asphalt down, which looks really great.
Yeah, that's good.
So you can really start it see it coming to a finish. So if you have any questions, like I said, I'll be glad to take them. And Peter, if you got anything.
Only that I was there today, and it looks really good. Progress is coming along, so very pleased.
Jeremy, if we put some numbers on it, ATC building itself, including the pedway, is probably 95% complete.
Correct. Yep.
The pedway itself is probably dragging along at about 70, 75.
Yep.
But it's came a long way the last few days. I'll be excited for the metal to get on. It seemed like it's took a little while to get that metal on that last part, but once it's on, it looks like it's wrapped up. Really pleased, the flooring contractor has stepped up. I was afraid we was gonna have some problems, but they come down, met with us last week.
Correct.
They've really stepped up. There's some little things here and there, but nothing I think that's going to delay us. When did you say you was doing sort of a deep clean? Or
We're going to do an interim clean on Tuesday, and then next Tuesday, and then next Thursday, Friday, we're going to be polishing and waxing the floors, so.
any chance on Thursday, well, no, that's the following Tuesday, then on the 29th, we can have about a 15-minute walkthrough?
Yeah.
By then, that's a week and a half, and at that
It
point in
should.
time, we're 99%
Yeah, it
complete.
should
You all
look-
like to see it, I think, wouldn't you?
Perfect.
Oh, that's awesome.
So maybe about 5:45 or something like it. Since we're meeting out there anyway, it'll be one
Right.
special called meeting.
On 29th.
Maybe about 5:45 before the reception for our retirees and everything.
That'd be great.
Is that all right with everybody? And we can call it 5:30 if you want to, just so we won't be rushed.
That'd be perfect.
5:30, and then Rebecca, I'll share with you the rest of the agenda items for next Tuesday, the 29th. Not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, a little bit under, but yeah, it's 2 Tuesdays from now. You're right there.
I know, coming out here for the graduation, leaving, got a lot of positive comments, just from folks out in town and in the community. They're, taxpayers, they're very content and happy that things are moving along like they are, so that's always good to hear. It's always good to hear.
I don't know if y'all been out there today, and it's part of it. We'll pay for this with construction dollars that's left as we close out our BG5, but they have started cleanup on the areas that's between Highway 89 and Engineer Drive. I was able to go see Carolyn yesterday. She was tickled to death to talk to me and kept going on about the property and how pleased they were that the property was being kept up and all that is being cleaned up. You won't believe that one area right in front of the technology center. You can see the building now from the road. They've done an unreal job on it. It's expensive, but when you pay people to clean up, things are expensive, but it's going to be worth it. You're going to be able to see the building, and I mean, it's. I'm telling you what, I get more excited every day. So you all know, as part of the update, the governor did confirm yesterday he will be here on the 23rd.
Great.
I'm not for sure if Lieutenant Governor Coleman will be with them or not, but the email sort of read like they're all going to be here, and Rocky included. So that is fantastic news, and it's a big day for Estill County. It's been waited 25, 30 years on this day. So, and it's a big day for Powell County too. Let's not forget our partners in this. So, very excited about it. I don't know if y'all have any other questions for Jeremy, but if not, we can move on.
Did you talk about those windows?
I wanted to show you all afterwards, and then
Okay.
we can make a decision, and then they'll bring us back something next Tuesday. We'll talk we'll talk during superintendent's report, maybe.
Hey Jeremy, I can't get my computer, it just says Chrome.
We're all having troubles today. We've already had it too.
So Brian, if you want to, while she's getting that pulled up, just lead us on to the next item. And
Thank you for the update, gentlemen. Next is the pay application for the Area Technology Center.
If you pull up your attachment there for the pay application, it was submitted and you all have had time to review it. The total pay app is for this, well, mine's wanting to freeze a little bit. There it goes. Total pay app this time for our contractors and Codell's $445,663.54. It's been reviewed by both Ross Hart and Codell, and their recommendation is to pay that application, and that's my recommendation as well.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Sheila made the motion.
I'll second.
Tammy Hardy made the second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Any discussion? Anyone? Okay.
Okay.
I'll get that out with this.
All right, next is the bus garage update. Jeremy?
I'm gonna
Or
jump
Peter,
in here.
my bad, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Stanford has been working since the last board meeting, since that was last year. They're working on wrapping up some final loose ends. We are going to be bringing a final pay app in a BG4 special call board meeting at the end of June. Progress since the last board meeting, we did get through a completed site punch. Owner training has occurred on site, which has been helpful. We do have, the pressure washer is currently being installed, and so that's one of the last things that we added to the project. I did see with Mr. Saylor today, the canopy lights have been installed and we're working. We've relocated an infrared heater, and we are confirming that wiring to the power bus pedestals has been completed at this time. But like I said, all of this will be wrapped up within, 10 days now, right? So it's right around the corner. June 29th is the date of that board meeting, and that's when all of the outstanding items at the bus garage should be finished. Be happy to answer any questions that you all have.
So all the issues with the gate opening and closing and all those things are resolved?
So we have had a functioning gate for some time now, but today apparently there is an issue today. So we will stay on top of the gate function, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard, so I was.
What he's
So
doing.
apparently
That might
the
go through.
sensor, there's something with the sensor or the sensor wiring, so we're going to need to look into that. But I do think that the gate was working for a period of time before it stopped working, so.
That was good timing, Peter.
Yeah.
All right.
And of course, we will have at the special called meeting, we should have the final pay apps and the BG4 on that. I have made it very clear to Peter that we are through with this project on the 29th, and the contractor should be as well, or we will be having further discussions with our attorney. So, and that's not trying to be a threat or anything else. It's just time to move on. And that's what we're trying to do here. So that's it for that update. So it was information really only.
Okay. Good deal. All right, moving on, the high school Phase 7 renovation project. Review the results of the high school renovation Phase 7 bid packages for May 20th and June 10th, bid openings.
Peter, if you want to, you and Jeremy want to take this, and we will.
Yeah, I was expecting.
So I'll go ahead and start. So we did have, do you have the results that you can pull up? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Jeremy, you can pull those up there.
That's kind of going to go through.
It's that's the Ross Tarrant recommendation letter, and then this is the bid tab.
Yeah, bid tabs.
Which one do you want to see?
The bid tabs.
This one?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
code out letter.
Go down.
Yeah.
There we go. Can we flip that?
Uh,
I don't know.
no.
Anybody
That's
there?
all right.
Wait.
Yeah, you should be able to. It's a little bit of a pain, but
We need to tell Kenny he needs to learn how to program.
Right. Seriously.
How long you didn't hear that?
well, he's listening.
Sorry, Kenny.
All right, so as you all know, we did the bid on May 20th, and we had bid coverage for everything except the mechanical and plumbing. We had one come in, but it was past time to turn them in, and we had to what do you call that? Throw away his bid, pretty much. So we did a rebid for just mechanical and plumbing on June 10th, and we had 4 or 5 come in, so that was good. We had the bid coverage. We was able to compare, and we feel like we did get all those bids and with good contractors. And we try to keep it within budget, but I believe Mr. Sadler, you want to speak on that? We came up, $1.4 million for.
Yeah, as you know, we were ready to bid this project back in December. And of course, we had the issues with KDE and the approval of the BG1 and approval of the design documents and the construction documents. And we just kept having issues and it kept getting delayed. And then, of course, when we finally did get the approval to go, it takes so many days. You've got to put this out there. You've got to give people the time to bid it. And it got right in the middle of when all of the issues started with supplies. And right now, you're seeing anywhere in the state of Kentucky somewhere between a 10 and 20% increase. And quite frankly, you're lucky if it's 10%. Most of them are 15% and above what the projected cost outlines were. So really and truthfully, we really felt good on that first day, but we did not get a bid pack for number 12, which is mechanical and plumbing, as Jeremy said. We had to reject that bid because it came in after 2 o'clock. It's very strict. You got to be here beforehand. Got here at 2:05, I think it was, and we had to reject it. And quite honestly, I mean, I think that was probably good from the standpoint that we had one person, so we needed to see multiple bids. So we were able to come back here last week on Thursday and we received bids, and we did receive a pretty good price in my opinion. The 1.3 is pretty close to what was projected for that package. So that one in itself is not that much above what we projected it to be. To be honest, it's probably somewhere around 10% above or something like that. So with all that being said, of course, the base bid amount, that's just for the building, and that's none of the alternates. That's all of your buildings. That's everything. So if you go across the alternates, Jeremy, if you can go to the right, alternate 1 is the sewer line out front. Alternate 2 is the parking lot and upgrades at the high school, which needs to be done as part of the complex. Alternate number 3 is the driveway going up to baseball, softball, which we always knew that we needed to take. Alternate 4 is the track surface, and we're not going to run on blacktop, but we had to get a price. Alternate 5 was the baseball, softball parking lot upgrades. I don't know why it says football on there, because really that's just baseball, softball, is it not?
That's true, yeah.
It shouldn't have football on there.
I think
but-
it's where it's hyphenated. the
Oh, it
SO.
is softball, I said.
Oh, good deal. Good catch, Sheila. Thank you. Because it's SO football. See, that's what happens when you're an old football coach. See, you see FT in front of the ball, you automatically think football, you know.
That's what I thought too when I read
Yeah.
it.
No, I saw the SO and I'm
But
thinking there's not room for it.
alternate 6 was the ticket booth and the oriental fencing for the football stadium and football track and soccer stadium. So that is really something, if you really want that place to pop, you know, that's an alternate you really need to consider taking. The turf pad, some schools are doing this, some schools aren't doing that. So, but it does protect the turf a little bit longer. You don't have the gravel eating at the back of the carpet. It's also perhaps a little bit of extra protection in terms of concussion protocol. But then we got the tennis court lighting, which we always said, oh, it'd be nice if those tennis courts were lit, but if we can't do it, we can't do it. Let's get a price. So we got a price. And then we got the masonry stain, which we always said we didn't know if we wanted to do that or not. But that was to make all 3 buildings, the middle school, the ATC, and the high school, where they would actually stain that building brick by brick, and it would look exactly like the other 2. Okay? And then the last alternate is alternate number 10, which that's our keys and locks and our hardware. And that's always a no-cost alternate. So as we've discussed these, this is why you're getting the recommendation that you're getting. If we go all the way back over to number 1, there was a mix-up on alternate number 1 in the bid pack that we're recommending that you take CNC contracting. There was a mix-up there, and if we take the alternate right now, then what it's going to do, CNC is not going to be your low bidder anymore. We're going to have to go to the next bidder. It's going to cost us an extra $100,000 right off the bat, because that's the difference in those 2 bids. So we need to just right now reject alternate 1. And what we will do, we have $600,000 worth of contingency. And when we get the next spring, as this project, we're getting there, this work could not be done the next June anyway. We'll just take an alternate on that and get it done. And we can use contingency money to do it, but we need to reject it for right now. The reason to reject it now, again, it saves us $100,000 off of that 11.2 that's already projected, okay? Alternate number 2 is the parking lot upgrades at the high school. In order for that to look right, we need to do that. We need to redo that parking lot. It will be milled, re-blacktopped, re-striped, and made part of the whole entire parking lot. Alternate number 3 was the baseball, softball drive. If you want people to kill us, we don't blacktop that road and have to go up gravel another year. I think we go ahead and just bite the bullet and do it for $88,000. That was a fantastic price on alternate number 3, and we need to jump all over it, to be honest. That does include the driveway and both parking lots, the one between the baseball, softball, and the one behind the softball concession. It includes all that. Alternate number 4 is the track. I can contract directly with that supplier, and I can get that track done, and we can get it done for a lot less than the $117,000. You got to realize that's the general contractor getting this subcontractor to do the track. Well, he's got to mark it up. They've got to do all the markups and everything like that. I believe we can get that track done for $80,000 to $90,000. So I will place that call in the morning if we go ahead and approve this project, but right now you would reject number 4. Number 5 is the baseball, softball parking. That's the back parking lot back there. That's between the 2 ridges. And we saw what our parking issues was during this recent regional tournament. I mean, we had an unreal turnout. I've never seen a crowd like that. I talked to Arthur, and I talked to Blaine, and I talked to other people that's been around for years. They've never seen a crowd like that for a regional baseball tournament. That's the most people that's ever been on that mountain. And we need to have that parking lot. We just don't, I mean, and for it's a great price. That does include lighting back there because it's in that hole. We didn't put lights on the others because you got the softball and baseball lights. It's lit up anyway. But back in that hole, it's not lit up. So there's lights back there for security. That's why it's a little higher than what just the road itself was. But I think it's well worth it. And that includes all the sidewalks and pedestrian access areas and all that. I would take alternate 5. Alternate 6, as I said, is the ticket booth. That is what is going to make that place pop. And just quite honestly, we'll do our teams and our community a disservice if we don't take alternate number 6. The turf pad is just like the track surface. We believe when the time comes, we can do that either through a change order or just go ahead and get the surface and get it in. So we just don't need to take it right now. We can pay cash for it later on in the project. Number 8 is the tennis court lighting. I really believe that is something we can do as well because we are running the conduit to the pole bases where the lights would be. So we can contract with Musco Lighting, who does lighting for all the athletic complexes. We can contract with them and let them come in and put the lights in. You got the same situation. You're going to save the markup. Now, you might have some installation fees, but we believe that we can meet that price or maybe even beat it post-bid. So we would just go ahead and reject it now. And the masonry stain, you all just need to decide at some point in time if that's something you want to tackle. We don't have to do that right now. We can wait until the spring to decide that. I've actually received a price early on that was less than $80,000. As you can see, both of these is well above that. But again, you got contractor markup, all the things. You got COVID involved. That bid was pre-COVID. But now prices are starting to come back down, but I don't know if they're ever going to come back down to where they were. And then, of course, you would take alternate 10. So I felt like we needed to go through those, Peter and Jeremy, just for everybody that's listening at home. They'll know exactly what we're taking. So if we take the base bid and alternates 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. The total construction cost is back over there at $11,762,454. Mark has reviewed this at Baird. Our bonded potential, we do have enough bonded potential to do this. We are looking at a 25-year mortgage instead of a 20, and the reason why we're doing that, I didn't want to bond us out to zero. I felt like we needed to have somewhere a cushion, somewhere around $750,000 if something was to happen. This allows us to have that cushion. It does not use our $654,000 of cash that we have in capital outlay. It does not use the projected $500,000 we will have at the end of this year come June 30th. And there's also another projected $500,000 at the end of the following June 30th. So we could have well over $1.5 million of cash in our capital outlay funds that we can access if we had an emergency. So I know that was always a concern of the board. We don't want to put ourselves in a bind, but also when you get down and you get to looking at it, if something happened, we had a roof blown off by a storm, we're covered by property insurance. It's going to pay for it. We might have to pay the deductible, which I think is $5,000 per event. We might have to pay $5,000, but our roof would be covered. If we had some kind of sewer line go bad, which now everything's new. When this is done, everything will be new. We shouldn't have those issues. But just in case there is an issue, we're going to have the ability to access about $750,000 and then a $1.5 million worth of cash. And that doesn't include any SFCC offer that we will get this fall. Now, the last one we rejected because they wanted to tie up all our cash, and we don't want to ever do that. But I think that this honors our promise that we made back a long time ago. Now, I know some of you are sitting here and you didn't have to make that promise, but we have one board member that's left that when the nickel was passed, and but we know what our community expects, and they've been waiting on this high school project. And we're just talking about athletic fields. Think about all the upgrades in the administrative offices, all the classroom upgrades, the plumbing upgrades inside the building, the HVAC in the gymnasium, the controls is something that we're going to come back. We pulled the controls out of this, trying to save bonding money because we can use ESSER 3 money for the HVAC controls, and it's clean. That's what we're doing at West Urban right now. So we can use that. It's probably about $200,000, but we have $8.4 million that we've got to spend in the next 3 years.
The safety upgrades.
The safety upgrades in terms of the new secure entrance, all that goes with it. And of course, the Pedway provides the new secure entrances for the youth service center and all that back there. All the new locks, all the new doorware, of course, the hardware for the doors. When the classroom doors shut, they're locked. Intruders can't get in. All those things, it's the upgrades that puts our high school really on cutting edge. It's done. And when we pick up the sewer line out front, all of it's done. There's nothing left. We even repaired the retaining wall in the back so none of our cooks get crushed by a rock fall one morning because that retaining wall is in terrible shape. So we fixed everything. Everything in this is fixed. Everything's done.
So can we just be clear with everybody that just because right now we're not taking some of these alternates doesn't mean that in the spring we're not going to come back and pick them up?
It's my intention to recommend to this board, and I think you all are with me on this, as long as we don't end up with some freak of accident that we have a $500,000 change order, which there shouldn't be. We know what's there. We've paid for the surveys. We've done all that. We know about the pyritic shell. We've got all those things done. You might have a electrical line that's underground that you don't know about that may get cut. It may cost you $1,000 here, something there. But the fact of the matter is there's $600,000 of contingency in this product, and we'll show you the BG1 here in just a minute. But there's that big contingency in this project, so there is enough money there. I will sit here and I'm gonna tell the public right now, I will recommend to this board that we replace that sanitary sewer line, because none of us 3 years from now want to call school to be shut down for 2 months getting it done. That line is 20 feet deep in front of that high school. So it's not something, if it went out tomorrow, it's not something we can have replaced in a week. It's something that's gonna take 2 or 3 months to get done. Okay, so that one we're gonna take. Then the track, yes, I'm gonna call the guy tomorrow. I'm gonna try to lock him down to his price.
I think
to
the
come in
track
do-
and the football turf was the two
Yes.
that I was most concerned
The
about.
the track can be done. I've worked with Jeff Henderson, is the guy at Tennis Technologies. He's the only person that does it in the state. I worked with him in a previous project on my former job. He's a great guy. He'll come in and do that track. They'll come in and do it. There'll be no markup. There'll be no overhead. We can pay for it out of maintenance. If we've got enough contingency, we can pay for it out of contingency. So it doesn't really matter. If you move on over, number 5, the turf pad, we have really went back and forth on it, because a lot of schools, even the University of Kentucky, did not put that turf pad down.
That's correct.
They did not put that turf pad down at Commonwealth, at Kroger Field.
Yeah,
Commonwealth
just-
Stadium,
that
it's
was a-
always Commonwealth Stadium to me.
Yeah.
But, you know, they didn't put that turf pad down. But I believe if we can afford that turf pad, we need to do it. If it keeps one kid from getting a concussion,
That's my big thing
That's a
with
big
it, is
thing.
the
Yes.
safety.
and
that
now
Safety
that we have
really-
people saying, exactly, now that you got people saying it may provide a level of safety against a concussion, and we don't do it, then I think you could face some liability there. And for $109,000, you'll be out more money in medical bills with your insurance company on a severe concussion than you will for $109,000. So my commitment to the public is, yes, we're gonna do number 7. Number 8 on the tennis court lighting, I think it'd be a shame if we don't do it. I think we'll have the money to do it. I think we can justify doing it. I right now know of 3 ways we can pay for that and not really hurt our bottom line. And Angie and I have talked about those scenarios. So I feel confident we can do the tennis court lighting. We just have to make sure, Peter, and I talked to Josh about this the other day, and you and I have talked.
Yeah.
That conduit has to be in this project.
Correct.
From the new field house to those base pole lights. Because we sure don't want to cut up new blacktop to get the conduit and
No.
wire back in. And it was supposed to be there, it got left out, but there's also some extra conduit and stuff that's in the project that Josh has already started working with Babcon to see if they can get them to go ahead and just include it.
Right, okay.
If it's not, it's a small change order. And then the masonry stain, you are just gonna have to decide. Do you like the building the way it looks? Do you want them all 3 to look the same? Because if you want them all 3 to look the same, then probably we're gonna have 2 field houses you're gonna have to stain as well. Because why would you leave them a different color? That's just a matter of whether or not you want to do it or not, to be honest. I personally don't know that it's worth $80,000 to do that. You all be thinking about that. That doesn't have to be done the next spring. But now I can tell you, I can take or leave that one. I like the color of the high school. A lot of people don't like red brick. You know, I like the color of the high school. I think it's just different. It's fine with me. It doesn't matter.
It helps differentiate between middle school, tech center, and the high school. You know which one's which.
Yeah. Well, and that's true too, because with the pedway, it really does say the red building's ATC, the tan building is the high school. The middle school is separate. It's not connected in any way. I've never, you know, and Jeremy, I talked to Jeremy about this, and Jeremy was the person that got a price from us from a contractor. I mean, it can be done, it cannot be done. That's the one out of the 9, that's the one that honestly,
Luxury.
it'd be a luxury if you wanted to do it, and honestly, I don't know that you could even justify spending it. We'd be better off take that $80,000 and give our employees a 1% raise with it. I mean, just me,
We can use it more efficiently.
because we were talking about a 1% raise again this following year. That would pay for that raise if we don't do that. So it doesn't really matter to me. So definitely, we would pick up 3 of the 4 alternates, with the brick stain being the one we would not pick up. And that pretty much puts us in the same line that we've done with everything. At Estill Springs, we took every alternate. We said, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. At the bus garage, we took every alternate. We said if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. And that will be the same thought process here. I just don't want to put us in a financial bind. I've always been very financial. I think from that standpoint of trying to be a good steward of our money, that's why I'm asking you to wait on those other 3 alternates. But I'm telling the public right now, it's 99% those 3 alternates will be picked up and done. Now, I don't know, guys, if I can add anything else. And I don't know, Jeremy, I just felt like, guys, we needed to go through that.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Exactly what it is. Now, on down in that document, you've got all the bid documents. You can see what every contractor bid. Jeremy, if you want to scroll down, you can just show them all that information's there. I'm sure you all have had time to look at all of it. These have been posted for a week, but right there, as you go, you can see every contractor that put a price in on each one of these items. So, and listen, 80% of them, they're our ATC contractors.
Yeah.
Rising Sun is your general contractor, Babcon is your electrician. I think Carmichael Masonry, the block. I mean, we've pretty much we got a new flooring company. Yeah, most of these are the same. I mean, they're the exact same people. Toadvine, we've worked with before. You know, we've worked with all these different contractors in the past. I really feel CNC is a new group, but we got 5 pretty much glowing recommendations from them here last week. So their bid was almost $90,000 below the next bid, so that was a $90,000 savings. So I've said all I need to say. I've talked long enough. And I don't know if you guys have anything to add or if you got questions for the experts. They're the experts.
I'd be happy to answer questions.
Doing everything up, like Mr. Saylor said, doing everything up right when we do it. I guess the only question is, as far as athletic, facilities that are being done, being taken care of, and I know we want to do that, hang on, I lost my train of thought, sorry. Oh, the track surface. So I guess at what time frame would we be looking at with that if we try to back up and get it later, you know what I'm saying?
It would be no different than it is if you took it now, because that track will not be ready to surface until next June.
Okay.
With the football stadium not starting to November, it might possibly be ready to surface in May.
Are you worried about the cost going up or down?
Yeah.
I figure that's kind of where he's getting at.
Right.
He's wondering if
I mean,
If 8
I
months,
still
9
think
months
the
from now.
cost is not gonna go above what you
Yeah.
have as the bid there right now.
like he said, I think a lot of the cost is starting to go back down, so
I know
You
they
might
were
get
talking about
cheaper.
lumber was.
It's
going
at
down.
80,000. We sort of broke that bid apart. They broke it apart, and the subcontractor's like 80,000, and then you had it was 117, so there's like 37,000 markup
Yeah.
on all the different things. So even if it went up 20%, that put it at 96. It's still under 100.
Right.
I think it's going to be okay. And there's still going to be plenty of old rubber tires, and that's what it is. It's rubber granules that's ground up. You know, that's not going up, I wouldn't think. The plastic that's it mixed with might. But I think that those prices will hold. And matter of fact, I'm going to call him and I'm going to ask him.
Yeah, that's a good
He would
question.
have to
Good
hold
question.
that price. If we took it today, he'd have to hold that price.
Right.
Like I said, I know Jeff pretty well. I'll call Jeff and I'll just ask him, Jeff, can you hold this price for us? We're definitely going to do this. Can you hold the price for me? I just want to pay you directly. And I will contact him. I've got his information in my phone.
Okay.
Good question, though. Anybody else?
Anybody else? All right. Moving on, consider approve recommended base bid awards for high school renovation along with alternates 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10.
So you all seen the recommendation, or you've seen the recommendation from Codell, you've seen a recommendation from Ross Tart. Total construction was 11.7.
Correct.
So my recommendation to you all is that it gives me great honor to basically keep our final promise to the public when we passed a recallable nickel now 4 years ago, and that we're going to complete this high school project. And at that point in time, we have completed every project that was promised during that time when we went out and we conducted town halls and we met people in the corner and talked about this, what the recallable nickel can do. We've not even mentioned the band, the fact that the band will be able to use this facility, a turf field. They can, you know, the possibilities are endless. It's just, probably gives me as much satisfaction, almost as much as the ATC. But the ATC is the crowning jewel of this district, but this one here will put the finish on it.
We'll be able to host instead of traveling across the state.
Correct.
You will be able to host regional soccer. You'll be able to host semi-state soccer. You won't have to be renting fields or going elsewhere to do those things. That is exactly right. The only thing we will not be able to host is a regional basketball tournament unless y'all want to try to build a new gym, and I wouldn't suggest that right now. Maybe one day if they build a new high school across from the current high school, they need to build a gym big enough to host a regional tournament, but that's 2035. I hope I'm here to see it. But that's how far they're out from building a new building. So my recommendation is that we approve the base bids or the low bids, and we award the contract to the contractors that was recommended by Codell and Ross Tarn.
Well, Mr. Saylor, I'm like you. I mean, it's a great honor to get to this point. I guess I'm the last remaining board member that made these promises to the public, and I mean, it would be my honor, you know, to make that recommendation. I guess I'm a little bit soon to make
That's
that,
quite
but that's
okay.
the direction
That's
Brian was
quite okay.
going. But I think it'd be only fitting for me to make that motion.
I do too. That's it.
I would amen that if that was. So we have a motion by Donna. Do we have a second? Carrie Smallwood. All right, all in favor? That's pretty awesome. So that motion carries. So moving along, approved revision of BG1 for the high school phase 7 to reflect approved base bid accepted alternates.
I would go to the other one, Jeremy. It's a little bit easier to see for them. And of course, Mark is not here tonight. It's the spreadsheet.
The Excel spreadsheet.
The Excel spreadsheet, Jeremy. And if you can blow that up for him a little bit, or if you guys got it up. Mark is not here tonight, but he will be here at the, I don't know now, I've lost it myself. There it goes. All right. Mark is not here tonight, but he did work on this week, and as you can see, you have an $11,749,744 construction cost. That's the very top line. You see Ross Tarrant's fee, you see the construction manager fee, which is Codell. Our bond discounts, of course, it costs you to sell bonds. Construction contingencies, that's why I told you I feel like we'll be able to pick up the alternates. There's $587,000 in contingency. There's $100,000 in here for equipment and furniture, and that's for all the lockers and everything that goes into the players' locker rooms and the track and field equipment, which will cost about $55,000 for all the new pads, all the new hurdles and everything. And of course, there is storage under the stadium for all these items. That's part of the project. Then you got all your little survey items and all that's under that. Total construction cost $14,238,466.35. You'll be bonding $12,000 of that in an FSPK bond sale. Local general fund bond sale, you have to show that amount because that's the cost of the turf. KDE will not approve bonding of that turf. You got to pay for that up front, and that's,
Million.
I'm sorry, $12,855,821 is the amount of the, basically the mortgage or the bond. There's another 574,000, which is a general fund bond sale. Remember, as a board, last fall, you committed $150,000 of general fund money to this project for the next 20 years in order to finance it. Then you go down, other is bond premium. This is something that's just started happening right now. Bonds are selling at such great rates. The bond sale itself is going to generate, as I understand it, $746,000 that can be used to help pay for this project. And the $62,000 is the security funding that the state approved 2 years ago that's paying for all the door hardware. So as you see, the total funds available is the exact match of the total project cost. And again, just so you all will know, so everybody realize, we are going to come back here probably about September, and I'm going to ask you to approve an ESSER project for the controls for the high school, which is what we did at West Urban. So that's not included. So with that being said, my recommendation is to approve the revised BG1, and like I said, they've already approved the finance plan. We just got to get this in front of John at KDE and put some pins in his chair. Because we want to start August 1. That's the start date. We're ready. The contractors are already on site. They're already mobilized.
Yeah.
They're ready to go.
All righty. Do we have a motion? Donna. We have a second. Tammy. And Hardy. All in
Jeremy.
favor? Any opposed? No. All right, any discussion? I usually forget to ask that. All right, motion carried. Mr. Sauer saying $12,000. I thought Peter and Jeremy, they found some money for us, or
Give us
some
a
free labor.
discount. They give us a discount.
That would be great.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Save us,
Thanks.
save
Hey,
us.
thanks, Jeremy.
Be good, thank
See
you.
buddy.
Bye.
Be good, man.
We're gonna keep you around working for a while.
I've never seen that before. Okay, that's good. No problem.
That'd save us
Alrighty.
about $40 million.
All right, moving right along, our air quality upgrades, the ESSER 2.
Yes, so I can kind of take these both together. Those contracts have been executed, the contractors have been notified. We are having our pre-construction meetings for those projects early next week with Mr. Reese here on site, actually at West Urban. And we are also currently in the shop drawing phase. The shop drawings are being reviewed by CMTA right now. So that work should happen here in the next month before school starts. We should see a lot of this stuff happen. So I'll be happy to answer any questions for you on those.
I bet they're excited at West Urban to get this fixed.
I think they probably will be, yeah. Yeah, that's a great project, and it's a really good use of these ESSER funds.
Yes.
They had that sewer smell
Yes.
out there a lot. So.
Mhm.
Am I correct? Is this is not the,
I sort of tackled D1A, 2A all at the same time. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
But
I'm trying
yes.
to remember, was that something, wasn't that
It's part of the,
where it would eliminate any kind of dust or anything?
yes, this
Yes.
is this
Air
is supposed to
purification.
take the
Viruses and.
air
Right.
purification, the virus particles out of it.
Bioionization.
Yeah, it's the bipolar ionization units.
Right.
And then, of course, with the air, makeup air units that have been not functioning correctly there
Correct.
as well, that's going to be a big plus. There were some plumbing issues in that building
Yep.
as well that has been there since it was built.
I've seen water running down the wall.
Well, hopefully that's not going to happen no more, and we're trying to
in the
correct
back
those
door.
plumbing issues, and it also included, there was issues in the way those units were installed and filters were installed.
Correct.
So there's new filter units being put in that will allow the easy access of the filters in and out. That's going to, of course,
correct.
make it a lot better as well. So I hope this fixes everything there. And we currently have, and just to throw this in, this is a sidebar, we currently have Ross Tarrant designing the lower parking lot to get us a bid document where we
Yes.
can get a price on that parking lot as well, which of course we would be using capital outlay cash to do that if we're able to do it. But we'll have that sometime early fall.
The one at West.
The one at West,
Yep.
yes. So both of these, and same thing at the district level, bipolar ionization, there's some duct issues that's got to be fixed at several places. And I think there's bipolar ionization units going on top, the main units as well at the
Yes.
district level, at Springs and everything. So
Yes.
it gets it, hopefully we're seeing, I don't think we're ever going to see COVID go completely away, but we're not just tackling COVID here, we're also tackling flu as well. So hopefully it's going to make all of our buildings a lot safer in terms of health purposes. So those meetings are this coming Wednesday?
Wednesday morning at West Irvin, and you should see work starting almost immediately. Shop
ready
drawings
to
are being
start.
reviewed, so
I think the following week, won't we?
I would think so.
I
The
think because
the
everything.
equipment's there.
Everything's ordered, should be ready to
Yeah.
go. Just an update, guys. Nothing,
Action items. Would I just go through those individually? Or does Mr. Salem? KSBA policy service.
as you know, every year, thank you, Peter, we appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Every year, we receive a policy update from KSBA.
Careful on the road.
See, Peter.
And, of course, these are changes that's brought about by the legislative session, things that they change. Also included in this, I want to make sure everybody knows, and this has been discussed in the past, is trying to line up in terms of my contract states that I get 60 vacation days. All of our other administrators in this district only receive 40. This doesn't impact me at all, but one of those policies in there does allow our other principals and our other 240-day certified administrators to be treated just like I am. And I do think that from the standpoint, when we look at pay differential in the state of Kentucky in terms of where does Estill County rank, our teachers rank right around the top 50 in pay. Our administrators are probably back somewhere in the 70s. And not that they're not paid well, it's just the fact they are lagging a little bit behind. This is not a pay raise for them by any means, but it would give them the ability to accumulate additional annual leave time or vacation time that at some point in time down the road, they would be able to recoup those days. And basically on 20 days, what you're doing, if you add those 20 days, all you are doing is basically delaying a $6,000 raise over time for them. If they don't stay here, they don't get that. It's got to be somebody that stays here for their entire career before it even matters. So everybody knows this doesn't impact me at all, because when I retire 2 years from now, the board is going to pay 60 annual leave days to me as part of my package as I leave in retirement. This only impacts current administrators that are in this district, that if they get to retirement, the board is basically delaying payment for them. Okay, that's the only thing that's not part of a law change. That was a request that had been talked about in the past. Now, I'm willing to answer any questions about those. If you've looked at them and you feel comfortable with those, then my recommendation is that we approve all these, and then we got to bring them right back, Rebecca, on the 29th for a second reading. But my recommendation would be to approve those updates.
We have a motion. All right, maybe we needed some discussion. Does anybody have any discussion points you'd like to bring up as far as that goes? I know it's just like anything is it's kind of like tenure, I guess, or a seniority type thing. I know over the time, most people accumulate days. The longer you're somewhere or wherever you work, this is kind of how it normally works. I mean, you accumulate those days, so.
And right now, they've been capped at accumulating 40 days, and it affects some of your central office staff, and your principals.
It basically impacts everybody that's in the system. Anybody that was hired before 2002, it impacts retirement, because those days can count towards retirement if you were hired before 2002. It also, they're prorated after that point. There's only so many days that they can accept.
So it's anybody that's in the system?
Anybody that's currently in the system that is a 240-day employee is the way that is written. It also,
But your 240-day employees are typically your administrators.
central office and principals. So you're talking about your 5 principals or your 6 principals and your 6 central office administrators. You're talking about 12 individuals. Take me out of it, you're talking about 11. I'm already getting paid for 60 by contract. So it involves those 11 people. Again, let's take, for instance, one of our younger administrators. Let's just say somebody that's not from Estill County. Let's say 5 years from now, they leave. Cost you nothing. It doesn't cost you anything. It only, as it is now, they get paid for 40 when they leave. So like I said, it's a maximum of $6 per person. So over the next 20 years, the most it could cost you is about $66,000. And it might be $5,000 or $6,000 at a time, but it's not going to cost you a lump sum at any one time. And it sort of says, hey, we understand, and here's where I'm coming from. It basically says, yes, we're not paying our administrators the same that they're being paid in other places, but we're trying to make up for it here in a benefit that if you stay with us, if you are with us to the end, you know, we're going to try to help you at that time. And it's sort of like, as you said, we're all going to get paid out sick leave, as you know. We're going to get paid out vacation days. That's already in the policy. The other thing it does too is our administrators only get 4 vacation days, and they're 12 months out of the year. Our other employees get 6 holidays. I said vacation days. All of our administrators, we get 4 holidays. We get paid Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. All of our other employees get paid for the 4th, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and Memorial Day. So this change in policy does give those administrators those 2 holidays as well, which is sort of an equitable thing with our classified employees.
So it's basically just a bonus for sticking with us as long as they do in
Yeah.
time. I mean, it's
That's right.
like a
If they
seniority
leave,
type thing.
If they leave, you're out. You don't get anything.
Right.
If you do stay here and you finish your career here and you've worked here longer than 6 years, because technically what happens is that once you get 60, you can't get no more.
That's the
So once you have 60, you get 10 that following year, you have to lose them, use them or lose them, but you don't get past 60. You can never be paid more than that. Even in my
capped at that.
contract.
So the 60 is a cap.
60 is the cap. Even in my contract, I get 10 a year. I've been here, will be here. If the good Lord's willing, 2 more years, I'll be here 8 years. That's 80 days. I either have to use those 20 days or I lose them. And I'm on track right now to work 248 days this year. I'm supposed to work 236. So I'm already, I'm going to be 12 over.
Get their money's worth out of you.
Well, I'm going to catch up this fall. I'm going to Florida maybe a couple times in September and November, so I'm announcing that now so everybody won't get mad at me. But I've got to work right now. We got too much going on. We got too much going on. So it's one of those things, it's sort of a pat on the back to your administrators. If they leave, they're out. They don't get it. And I can see there's some of our administrators that probably, who knows? Who knows what God has in store for them, but there's some of our administrators may not be here. They may not stay here over time. But even if they do, right now, you're out a maximum of about $65,000 to $70,000 based on the current salary schedule.
Okay.
That's where it's at, from a number standpoint.
All righty.
And if you all needed time to talk about it or think about it, we could always table it and come back June 29th.
Yeah, and we would just have to bring that policy back in July. We can pull that one out if you're not comfortable with doing it tonight and you want to talk about it, or you want to have some conversations about it. We can always pull it back and do it in July. Or you can approve them as one lump.
Y'all have any discussions about it, anything, any concerns?
And again, the next superintendent, unless you change the contract drastically, they're going to be just like me. They're going to get, if in 4 years, they're going to get 40 days. If they retire after those 4 years, they're going to get a cash those 40 in. It costs retirement more than it costs you. Okay? But stays 8 years, he may have 80, but he can only do 60. That's all the board will allow to be reimbursed.
To me, it looks like it's just you're being loyal to the people who are loyal to you. You know what I'm saying? And you've been a teacher. You know, you understand, and I'm sure you understand too, as an educator, that you know, everybody. You can either put your foot forward and you can be content with doing, you know, being a teacher. You can, if you want to further yourself, you can be an administrator. You can further yourself if you want to be a superintendent. Opportunities are there. It just depends on what your calling is. So me personally, thinking that, you know, coming from the background as a factory worker, you know, or somewhat manager at times, you know, you should be compensated somehow for enduring and staying with and being loyal to the district. So that's just my take.
Well, and I'm meeting with principals this week. I'm completing their evaluations. We're going to talk about mine here in a little bit. We'll be completing their evaluations. We probably have some principals that are from here. They're probably going to finish here. But right now, we've got some good principals that they could leave right now, go to Lexington, 40 minutes away, and they're going to make, on average, $35,000 to $40,000 more than they're making in Estill County if they got a job in Lexington. And we've got some principals that could do that. Now, there's going to be some people say, well, let them go on if that's what they want to do. But I also know that good principals are hard to come by, and it's hard to replace them. So it might just be that little thing, hey, they've reached out to me, they've made this effort. I like it here, I want to stay here, this is where I want to be, I'm going to stay. It might just give them that little bit of emphasis, say, I'm going to stay. So
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay.
I'm prepared to make a motion that we accept these KSBA policies. I've had time to talk about it, review this. I think our administrative staff that we have are very loyal. They've been very faithful. They've had to step out of their comfort zone. They've had to lead this year. And I feel like it doesn't cost us unless they retire. It's not like we're going to pay all this money out at once. And so I'm prepared to make a motion that we accept this policy change.
All right. Thank you, Donna. Samuel, you second? All right. All in favor?
thank you all, and I know our administrators, our principals will be thankful for that as well.
All right, moving right along, our property insurance and workers' compensation.
You have those attachments. I hope you've had a little bit of time to look at those. You got two different quotes, and we asked to make we asked our insurance agent to get us to 2 different quotes because Liberty did notify us that you could expect about a 10% premium increase. Again, think about what's went on in the world. The wildfires, the hurricanes, all the different things that's happened in terms of property insurance, bus wrecks, all those different things, the number of court cases that school districts are hearing. So we knew that it was going to go up. So we did get 2 quotes. We got one from Liberty, and it's exactly what they said it was going to be. It's an increase of about a little less than $20,000. But we also got a quote from Wright Specialty, which is a lot lower. But you can see that our agent has made the recommendation that we remain with Liberty. I'll make it very plain and very simple. Wright Specialty will give you the insurance for that price, but they will not cover any past claim after July 1st of 2021, that if somebody comes up and says 10 years ago, I was abused by a teacher, or there was an accident that happened 3 years ago and they're within the limit of, if they're within that liability limit and they bring a lawsuit, Wright Specialty will not cover that claim, and Liberty is not going to cover it if you're no longer with them. So you're going to have an insurance gap for any past liability from June 30th of 2021 for the last 20 years. We can't afford that. I'll pay the $20,000 more. My recommendation to you is you pay the $20,000 more and we stay with Liberty. They've been good to us. I think they'll reward us in the long run in terms of what they will do for us. And you can't have a liability gap. You can't have a lapse because one lawsuit, we've got one lawsuit right now that's been pending for 4 years, and it happened before I got here. The previous superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and 2 or 3 of our current teachers are still named in that suit. Now, quite frankly, I can't comment on it. I won't. But the bottom line is that we're still being defended today by Liberty over that incident. If you go to Wright, you're no longer covered as of right now.
We can't afford it.
So, bottom line, my recommendation is we stick with Liberty.
Okay. Any discussion?
I have, sorry, question. I don't know if I should yay or nay on this one because my daughter is involved with the lawsuit with Liberty Mutual of another school system. So will that affect anything?
I don't think so. I think because that involves another school system, this is basically coverage for our school system and coverage for our, I mean, it also protects students, guys. I mean, when we think about this insurance, and when you think about it, in that particular, I don't know the details of that case, but it protects employees against baseless claims. It protects students and families against claims that are deservingly need to be done. And we've been on both sides of those claims. We've been on the sides that we thought was frivolous. We've been on the side of claims that's been settled because, or they went to court and needed to be settled because we had liability in that matter. So it doesn't impact you one way or the other. And let me say this, and let me throw this in here so we don't forget. This is also your workman's comp insurance as well, which is through KEME, by far the best price. We even received money back this past year from KEME because of our claims. Even our initial premium for KEME this time is less because of our recent success in the reduction of workplace injury. So this motion is not only to approve Liberty Insurance for our property and liability insurance, but KEME for workman's compensation as well.
Okay. All right, we have a motion.
I make a motion.
Sheila makes a motion. Tammy makes a second. All in favor? Motion carried. Moving on to the district cybersecurity health check reports.
Well, Jeremy has listed a bunch of attachments under the district cybersecurity, and this is a big push by KDE. As you know, I mean, just like with the Colonial Pipeline and with the meat packing incident that we had just a few weeks ago, and with school districts, there have been school districts that have been hacked, and their information has been held ransom. I think one of the most recent ones was in Texas, that the school system was hacked. And then not only do you have the capability or the possibility that somebody could hack into your system, and I will say this, Kentucky is probably one of the most safest states. Kentucky leads the nation in technology in terms of the technology systems that our school systems are part of. Number one in the nation. Everybody can throw off on us on some things, but we're the number one ranked schools system in the country when it comes to technology and cybersecurity. But the other thing that can happen is that they can hack and get employee information, and then there's liability with that. So Jeremy's included a couple things. I told him just give you a quick overview, and then we'll jump to the quote.
As part of some of those documents that you guys get are all of the statutes and everything. By August of each year, I have to approach the board at a board meeting to remind you that as a result, the board is liable for any type of cyber or data breach. And that is part of what that first section there, those documents, is basically the rider on our insurance to cover us in case we do have a cyber breach. That could be somehow somebody copied all of the employee social security numbers to a flash drive, posted them online, whatever the case may be. That is a data breach, and the board would be liable to have some type of LifeLock system that we would have to provide for any affected employee to lock their credit and to help recover for any type of theft, data theft in that matter. And so we have to make sure that you guys understand that, attached to all of the statutes and everything in reference to that. As Mr. Saylor said, Kentucky was and has been the leader nationwide for security, mainly because the state of Kentucky decided with CARA that we are going to treat the entire state's educational system like a business, maybe like Carhartt is. You have your master, then you have all these little sub-areas. Each one of the counties and sub-school districts is considered a sub-business of the main entity of the Kentucky Department of Education. That allowed us to always make sure that we are using the same security systems for our student information system. Every single school district in the state uses Infinite Campus. You can go to another state that one county uses one program and another county uses another, and it's completely contained within that individual school system. And we don't do that, so that allows us to have a lot greater security statewide. So again, it's just to make sure you understand that we need to have that rider to cover the district in case there ever is a security breach of any way, shape, form, or fashion.
And we actually added this in the middle of last year, and Jeremy wasn't even aware that we'd added it. I had a moment and I lapsed, and I didn't tell him that it was part of our insurance. It has doubled, but it's still under it's under $8,000 total. And believe me, $8,000 would be the drop in the bucket. $8,000 wouldn't settle one claim against you.
Oh yeah, it's going to cost you
3 years of LifeLock protection and protecting them against anything.
And that's if somehow someone's social security number, birthday, any what's called PII, personally identifiable information got out there, and somebody went and there was a case of identity theft, the board would be 100% liable for any and all costs associated with that person getting their everything returned to them.
And I'll give you a prime example. I know of a school that printed a employee information off on Infinite Campus, and they sent it home, and lo and behold, it printed their social security numbers right with it. And boom, there they went. And it went out, and nothing happened, but it could have. All it took is one of those fall in the wrong hands, not get picked up, something happens, post office lose it. Doesn't happen much, but it does happen. But if it did, there they are. We'll say something good about the Postal Service with Carrie sitting here. But if it did happen, you'd be liable. So that's a prime example.
We're saying employees, this is also for students as well.
Too, yeah.
That's exactly right. It's for everybody. And there's probably more theft of student identification right now than there are adult. It's easier to do. So,
Next year, I'll be back here repeating the exact same thing.
and we'll be renewing a cyber policy, hopefully not double again, but my recommendation to you all is that we approve that policy.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the cybers?
I make a motion.
Okay. Sheila, we have a second. Tammy Hardy, all in favor? Okay, motion carries.
Rebecca, if you don't care, if you'll print both of those contracts, I'll sign them tomorrow and we'll get them sent back to Dave Kendrick. That way we'll be good to go come July 1.
All right. Fiscal year 22, bond of depositories.
We're down, this is Angie.
Right. The bond depository you approve every year, and this year is a little bit different. We're doing 103% of the average daily balance. So it's just saying that they have money pledged for our collateral to cover us.
And that is a requirement of KDE, so the recommended motion is to approve the bond of depository.
Do I need a motion?
Yes, I make a motion.
All right. Sheila makes the motion. Need a second? Donna makes a second. All in favor? Motion carries. And next, moving right along, approve Treasury bond. That was not included with that, right?
Yeah, this is separate.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's an insurance policy for any fraud or anything to cover you.
Again, a requirement of KDE.
Right.
I'll make a motion.
Donna makes a motion. In a second. Tammy Hardy. All in favor? All right, motion carries. All right. Out-of-state field trips, ECHS marching band. I'm sure that COVID changes this with everything, so.
Well, I tell you what, it's made this a possibility of them traveling a little bit better, but there's still a lot of hoops that will have to be jumped between now and I believe this is in November. If I remember correctly, and that's what it says on the very first line too. We've discussed this at length. Our band does realize that, and Mr. Bowles realizes, and I believe his parents realize as well as his booster club. This is very contingent upon what could happen with COVID if the wrong variant came about. You know, right now, as the governor's orders have been lifted, there are no restrictions right now. We started this week, no mask in school, no mask on school buses. That doesn't mean COVID's gone. We are still strongly encouraging people that have not been vaccinated. If I was one of those people, I'd be wearing a mask. But I can't make them wear a mask. As of right now, we can't require people. And I would almost say, I believe as a school system, we could require people based on board policy. But I don't think that's where we're at, and I don't think that's what needs to happen at this point. I just hope that people continue to get vaccinated. As soon as we get back to school, we're going to have vaccination clinics in our school that we're going to seek parental permission for their children to be vaccinated, because I just don't think that we should be playing around with this and take the chance that this could mutate in some way, form, or fashion and come back at something worse than what we've had.
Well, we already had the Delta variant that's come up.
And it's already here. So, and now whether or not that variant or some variant in the future, but they understand, and I told them that you're basically giving them conditional approval tonight that they can start raising money, they can start planning that trip, but I've advised them to get trip insurance.
Yes.
And to get some type of an agreement with their motels and their vendors that if something happens that they cannot travel, that they could be reimbursed their money that they put into this. I've also made it clear that the board does not have a pot of money that we can reimburse the boosters for $30,000 or $40,000 if they lose their money based on cancellation of this event, or based on the fact that I would have to step up as superintendent. And I told them if I have to be the bad guy and I have to step up and say we're not going, because of COVID, because of an increase in incidence rates or whatever, I will step up and be the bad guy, because I have one priority this coming school year: protect our kids and protect in-person instruction. We plan on 100% of our kids being back in school come August the 5th. So they understand all that, and so I'm asking you to give conditional approval for this trip out of state for our band. And listen, it's well deserved. They've missed a whole year basically here,
They
just like
participated in this
everybody.
before.
Yeah. So they probably suffered more than anybody. They didn't get to perform any band shows. They barely got to perform during basketball season. It's been hard to keep them together. They've done a fantastic job, honestly, keeping them together. There's not a harder working group of kids. We love every one of them. We love our directors. We love everybody associated with the program. We want to give them the opportunity, but just know this is conditional, and that's my recommendation.
I need a motion. Sheila. Can I have a second? Tammy? All right, all in favor? Motion carries. Let's just hope and pray things continue to die down and everything works out. Fiscal year 22 SRO agreement.
You have the attachment. It's the same agreement that you approved last year. I spoke to Chris this week, and I want to thank Chris Flynn for his help here in our school district. I appreciate Josh Risen, our SRO, and the job that he does. So I know Chris is, when we've not been in school, Chris has been able to use Josh a little bit more out here in the county, but as we get back into school, Chris will have to come up with some additional help, or maybe sleep a little less, but we appreciate Chris. They do a fantastic job with us, and I appreciate the fact, I know as part of this agreement, they give partial coverage to West Irvin and to South Irvin as well. I will be in contact with Mayor Gross. They've always been fantastic to have Irvin PD come by Estill Springs just to check in on them every once in a while. So we've got a pretty good thing going here, and my recommendation is to approve this SRO contract. It's at the same amount that it was last year, a total of $38,000.
All right. We have a motion. Sheila? Do we have a second? Donna? All in favor? Motion carries. Christopher stays with us. All right, Interagency Agreement, South Central Head Start.
And I do apologize that this went on there today, but guess what walked in my door today about 1 o'clock? And that was this contract for CAC. They've had it approved for a while, but they were just approving some final numbers. This, of course, is Community Action Council, who is our Head Start partner. They took over 2 years ago for Kentucky River Foothills. They have been a fantastic partner, guys. They really have. And listen, what they pay in that program over there, they have taken over a lot of the majority of that cost for that program. This contract, I believe, is for $360,000 if you go all the way down through there, Jeremy. You'll find it towards the end. Just so you all will know this, it's the exact same contract that we had last year. Now go up the other way. That's saying we're not in any. Keep going. While he's looking for that, but anyway, it's 300 and there. Oh, go back
too
down
many.
right there under.
That's too many.
No, that's their liability. Go on up.
There it is.
Right there it is. 330,000. I'm sorry, I was giving us an extra 30,000. They'll be glad I corrected that. So $330,600. And of course, it's also based on enrollment. We've never had a problem meeting their enrollment numbers. And I'll tell you what kind of partner they are, guys. Last year they was closing out their grant. They had an additional $100,000. They called us the 1st of December and they said, "What's your needs?" we have an extra $100,000. What can we buy? What can we buy for the children of Estill County that will help us have a better Head Start program and a better preschool program? They gave us an extra $100,000. They amended our contract. So they're fantastic. I'm telling you, Sharon Price is absolutely a jewel, and we appreciate what they do for us, and we know that they're there for us whenever we need them. So I enthusiastically recommend that we approve this contract. This is good for our kids.
All righty, do we have a motion? Enthusiastic. Sheila, give me a second. Tammy Hardy, all in favor? Motion carries. She is a wonderful human being. Physical therapy contract.
I would like to table that one, Brian, if you don't care. We got another proposal today that we want to review, but we feel like it could be a better proposal for us and will save us money and probably, hopefully, provide better services for our kids. So I'd like to bring that back to you on the 29th, if that's okay.
June 29th. All right. Moving right along. Consent items. Approved board meeting minutes, May 20th, 2021. Do I just read all those, or?
Yeah, and we'll take all those at once. Brian, that's the board minutes, the treasurer's report. We will have the warrant, not the warrant, but the bank reconciliation on the 29th. The bank is late always on that. We run about a month behind.
Honestly, they're not late because we're doing it online and unable to get it online and print it, so it's not a delay. It's just, it's really busy time of year.
Well, and it is a busy time. We're trying to close out. We've got probably 60 summer school employees to pay starting this coming Friday, so there's a lot going on right now trying to close out. So, but we'll have it on the 29th. You'll have it at the next meeting. A consulting contract with Millennial Learning, and this is for our district retreat that we'll be having during the KESA conference. We also have a Leader in Me agreement, which is also part of that, which is part of our PD training. Let me make sure. Just so I'll let you know, the Millennial Learning contract, that is actually our diversity and equity training. This is both for our administrators and then doing and that also includes doing a diversity and equity culture audit of all of our schools and beginning that discussion, which is a requirement. There's a new KRS that requires that. It's not only a requirement, in my opinion, it's also the morally right thing to do, because everybody wants, when they get into diversity, you want to get into all, a lot of different items, but our biggest diverse group is students that are in poverty. When you have 75% of your kids that are in poverty, you know, that's a diversity issue. So that, we really look forward to that training. The Leader in Me training is to talk about coming out of the pandemic and the stress that it's created. You know, we're going to be working with students, but we also got to talk about our administrators and our staff as well. So that's part of that training. The Frisky program is what allows us to have student workers in a couple of our schools. The district CDIP, there's a professional learning plan that involves all of those things with Millennial and with Leader in Me and all of our professional development that you all have to approve as part of the CDIP. And then the district salary schedule, as I told you, it's back on there. There's some cleanup items on there. We also discussed the fact that when Miss Rebecca sitting over here is coming and doing your board minutes, and she's doing all of your all's work for KSBA and reserving your motel rooms and all that, we are, you know, she has been taking off time, which puts her behind in her time. In the past, what we did with our secretary to the superintendent is that they claimed overtime for board meetings, which was never really a good thing because it always ended up being more time than the overtime that Felicia turned in. So the only addition on that salary schedule that was different than what you approved before was a stipend that allows her to do these board minutes and stuff and not be involved and it get impacted by any of her timesheets. That's it. So everything's just a cleanup item. So my recommendation is that you approve those items in one motion.
All right.
And I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Does anybody have any discussion, questions? Will we ask for a motion? All right. Do we have a motion for the consent items? Sheila? We have a second. Tammy Hardy? All in favor? All right, motion carries. Down to the superintendent's report.
The one thing I meant to ask about that, the salary cleanup, is we actually did away with assistant athletic directors. And
Yes.
it's still listed on there like that?
They were cleaned up.
Oh, okay. I was just looking at this one.
Yeah, that one, it should have been, they should have come off.
It's on there.
Is that still the old one? Did he submit the new one to you, Rebecca? Okay. Okay, those are off there. In the cleaned up version, they're not there no more because you can't have a snake with more than one head. So that's being corrected.
Sorry, I was late asking about it.
Oh, yes, you can have a snake.
You can have a snake with
Yes, you
more than
can.
one head, but they're fighting all the
Yeah,
time.
but yes, you
So
can.
we did correct that. Yes, it is corrected on the new one.
I've seen pictures of it.
Anybody else? Okay,
No, you just got me tickled, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's my fault.
No.
All right. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
You have the notification of personnel actions for you all in this coming board meeting. This coming board meeting will be the big list with all of the employees in the positions that have been filled at that time. We're still several positions out there to be hired, several that's been hired in the last couple days. Stephen is working on those diligently, but in reality, as I sent an email out earlier today, our employees are not bound to contract to July 21st. So up until July 21st, anybody can leave at any time for any reason they want to. So it's really difficult to right now give you something that's not going to be correct a month from now. So we're going to delay that for a month. But that's what we have currently for you. The superintendent's evaluation, I want to give you this information. It's also there on, let my leg go to sleep. I'll give you all this information for you to look at, and this is something you will do at the meeting on the 29th. And I thought, and I'll sort of give you an idea and let you all tell me how you want to do it on the 29th. Just so you'll know, those are the 7 standards that superintendents are evaluated on. Last July at this time, or last June at this time, we agreed as a board team that I would be evaluated on Standard 5 and Standard 7. Okay? If you look on the very last page of that packet I just gave you, that is my professional growth plan, the very last page. And that tells you the items that I was going to try to address that was within items 5 and 7. So what you should do now with this performance indicators is that you should go to Standard 5 and you should go to Standard 7, and you're going to try to decide what my evaluation is, whether I'm exemplary, whether I'm accomplished, whether I'm developing, or whether or not I have growth required. Then when we come back next Tuesday, you all need to talk. You are going to have to come. We'll have a closed session before the meeting starts, and you all will need to talk about what you've rated me in each of those categories. And you will come with an overall rating, and that is the middle sheet that you see there. It's got all 7 indicators on there, but the white sheet you're gonna go to the one that says number 5, managerial leadership, and you're gonna go to number 7, which is influential leadership, and you're gonna rate me as the board what the cumulative total is. For instance, if 3 of you say that I'm accomplished, 2 says I'm developing, then the overall rating would be accomplished for that area. If you say 4 of them are exemplary, 1 of them are accomplished, then it would be exemplary in that area. And then once you all have compiled your list, you will call me into the closed meeting, you will tell me what my rating is, and at that time we'll have a discussion, and then when we come back out to the open meeting, you all have to report that to the public, and we have to report that, and then Donna and I will sign off on that. And then you all will want to decide also, what standard do you want me to work on this coming year? It can be 1, it can be 2. They generally don't suggest going over 3, okay? Even though I'm working in each one of these at all times, it just gives a focus, okay? Any questions about the process? So my suggestion would be this coming Tuesday, if it's all right with you, is at 5:30, we would do a walkthrough. It's not gonna take us 15 or 20 minutes. We'll just walk through, you'll get to see the building cleaned up, that type of stuff, but we'll come back over. Reception will start about 5:50, and that way the board can come into the reception. We're at the high school for the meeting. The board will come into the reception. We'll spend some time with the retirees, and then at about 6:15, after you all have spent about 20-25 minutes, you all will go in, and we'll call the meeting to order before we go into the ATC, okay? We'll call the meeting to order then, and then at about 6:15, you all will adjourn and go into closed session, take about 15-20 minutes, call me in, come out of closed session, we'll start our board meeting no later than 6:45. We are to be through by 7:15. Okay, is 20-25 minutes long enough for y'all to meet with the retirees and all that? Y'all feel good about that?
Yes.
Does that work for everybody? So I'll work with Rebecca on that agenda tomorrow, and we'll get a preliminary agenda out tomorrow. Rebecca's working tomorrow, Monday, and then she's gonna be off until Friday. So we'll get those days lined up. So if that's good with everybody, we're good to go. Thank you all. And to go on with that, the KSBA Summer Leadership, you should have got information. Everybody's pretty much through. Brian is the one probably needing hours.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, Brian, if you're wanting to attend that summer leadership, all you gotta do is contact Rebecca, tell her,
Okay.
she'll get you signed up.
Okay.
Okay? I think it's scheduled for, it's got the dates there, July 16th and 17th.
Friday and Saturday.
Fundraiser reports, I think we had one from the high school just for you all to look at. Summer school update, pretty interesting. If you've not had a chance, I hope you looked at that, but we have 165 kindergarten through 6th graders, and we have 140 7th through 12th graders. So altogether, we have 305 students currently in summer school, which I think that's a fantastic number. That is right at 15% of our population. And remember that next Friday's the last day. We're gonna try to get all the, Steve, I've told Steve, and I'll help him come Friday morning. We're getting all the pay sheets in Friday morning. Angie's gonna come down, we're gonna sit there, get them all done, get them entered, get everybody paid before the 2nd. Probably a paper check, right? Or are you gonna deposit it directly? Whatever's easiest for you, whatever makes it easier for them to get, but we'll get them paid before the 4th.
We'll be in summer school that day, right?
They will be on that Friday, but not on the 2nd. No, they're off. They're off that week, so they won't be. It's probably easier to direct deposit. We'll direct deposit it by the 2nd. We'll make sure they get it on that Friday.
Let me check with the bank and make sure that's the turnaround time.
If we can get it into them on Monday, we can get them to, you'll have to run it and everything, I know. It may be Monday afternoon, late Tuesday morning.
It will, what day is it, is that Wednesday?
That's like the 29th,
The second
is Tuesday morning.
The second,
The second's on a Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Christmas birthday.
Because July's the first Sunday. Yeah.
That, we'll work it out with the bank, but we'll try to make sure it hits the bank by the second.
Third.
And then the following Monday, on the 5th, we start our second 3-week session. And that's going to be all your STEM camps. South Irvin's going that time. I think they were expecting right now, they had close to 100 kids at South, or 80 kids at one time, and they were still counting because we ended up hiring a 5th teacher. So there's a bunch of kids at South Irvin that's coming back to summer school. There's camps at high school, middle school, and we'll try to make adjustments for any kids that need help during that time, but we expect another big group for those 3 weeks. I appreciate our bus drivers and our cooks and our teachers and our staff, and our gifted kids have been working in classrooms and helping. And of course, we have on salary schedule, we can pay our students. It's all being paid out of ESSER II funds. So it's been a pretty good experience so far. So we'll see how it continues to go. So that's a great update for that one.
Mr. Sadler, we were going to try, we had discussed paying them on Wednesday the 30th, so that they would have their funds before the holiday weekend.
Whatever we can work out.
Fiscal year.
Okay. If we can get it in on the 30th and get them out, that'll be good. And that way it counts on this year's retirement too, don't it? Which might be a good thing. So we'll try to get that done. House Bill 563, guys, of course, this is the bill that everybody got up in arms about. This is the taking of state money and providing tax credits to private schools. And I told you all, this was probably not going to fly in the legal system, or at least I don't think it's going to fly. We fully believe that, I can tell you as superintendent, I fully believe that House Bill 563 is in violation of the state constitution. And the Center for, you can see the email there that I have supplied with that CBE, is a group, this is the same group that brought the Rose case back in 1989 that brought about Kara. They don't get involved unless it gets to that point. So we have filed suit, or CBE has filed suit in Franklin County, and they're asking for a basically an order that would stop this law from going into effect. And they're going to be asking every school district to join in that lawsuit. And although really right now we don't have private schools in Estill County,
We could.
but in a sense that would hurt us that bad. What it is going to do is it's going to take, at this time, $25 million from state funding that should be going to public schools and funnel it to private schools in tax credits. And I cannot stand for that. As an educator, I can't stand for that as a Republican educator, just to be honestly, and that should not be happening in my opinion. And when the problem is it will not end at 25 million. Yeah, 25 million today becomes 50 million 2 years from now, and then it becomes 100 million, then it becomes 300 million, and then it becomes $1 billion, and it just, there's no end to this. So the bottom line is I will be coming to you in July with a resolution asking you to join as the Estill County Board of Education in this lawsuit. We are a member of CBE whenever we adopt that resolution, and it will cost us about $1,200 to be a part of it, and that's our part towards the legal fees that would be needed to fight this. So that is just an update at this time, just so you'll know what that is and you'll know that it's coming. And this is not personal against any one person. It's not something that's personal. This is just a matter of principle. Estill County High School ticket policy. I want you all to look at this. That is the ticket policy moving forward, and it's got a lot to do with electronic ticketing. And if we use electronic ticketing, then the company that you use for electronic ticketing automatically gets $1 of that admission fee. But it does provide the avenue by which you can move to a more safe environment in terms of ticket sales. It does not mean there will not be tickets sold at the gate, The ideal is to limit that as much as we can. It also eliminates guys coming out of the pandemic, you know what kind of shape our athletic programs are in. We still had all the expenses for suiting up a football team. We still had all the expenses in basketball and baseball and softball, but fans were limited, and because of limited fans, we have a dire deficit at the high school athletics and middle school athletics. It's just the case. The revenue was not there. We have, as you know, appropriated an additional $20,000 at the board level to help the high school and middle school, but that will only do part of this. So one of the things that has happened is that we're asking, and I'm part of this request, I'm asking the board to revise the policy that allows all employees to get in free to games. I've never understood why employees should get in free if they're not working. If they're working to help at games, if they're selling tickets, if I give up my night to sell tickets, I deserve to get in free to the game. But just because I'm an employee of the school system does not mean that I should get in free. Because if we're going to let people in free, who has the money? Does the employees have money, or do your kids have money?
I think
If we were going to let anybody in free, in my opinion, and right now we can't afford to do it coming out of COVID, but if anybody was going to get in free, it should be the kids.
I've always said
It
that.
shouldn't be the employees. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, so if we're making decisions it's about kids, that just doesn't make sense. And right now, the kids are the ones that do not have the money. Now, we'll still honor the golden passes just like before. We'll honor those, board members have always been on the pass list. You as the board member are on the pass list, your spouse is not. Our principals, administrators, they help at those events. Whenever you help, and listen, if there's a middle school employee, if there's a middle school teacher or a middle school instructional assistant and they want to help the high school or middle school sell tickets, they should be able to get in free to those games. But you shouldn't just get in free because you're an employee. That's that policy. Now, Rebecca, we're bringing that back for action in July. Not now, but we're going to bring it back in July, okay? And the last one is what we discussed after our trainings at KSBA. With all of the situations that we've had with booster clubs, with booster clubs that are being run by single people that we elect officers, but one person's making all the decisions, one person is doing all the purchasing. We've had an incident where a booster club member, a treasurer, stole $30,000. That happened within the last 3 or 4 years. We've just had a lot of issues in terms of having sports booster clubs. So after that KSBA meeting, you've asked me to come back and look at establishing an all sports booster club where there's one booster club for all the different sports teams, and we're going to have a meeting with them here in the next week. That meeting is set up. And we're not wanting to take away their authority. We want them to have a say in what they want to provide for their kids. But we also have to put a limit on what they can provide. We can't have, for instance, a baseball boosters club, and this didn't happen, I'm using it as an example, okay? We can't have a baseball booster club raise $15,000 and spend $15,000 on the baseball team, while the girls booster club is only able to raise $5,000 and spend $5,000. As a board, you're liable for that $10,000. We have to at some point be able to say, no, this is what you can raise. And this is how you can do that. And then the kicker on that is, why should football parents be working the concession stand during the football game when their kids are playing? They shouldn't be. We should be, if we're all about being one school, one district, one team, one community, why isn't the basketball parents working a football game? Why isn't the track parents working a football game? Why isn't baseball working a football game? And then in turn, when it comes football season's over, football parents can work those games. If we take volleyball, if you take football, both soccer teams, golf, cross country, track, tennis, we are to have plenty of parents that would work games and allow our parents to watch the games. We need to work together. And then out of this talk, I've told them I want to see us start a Hall of Fame. So right now, the beginning discussion is that it's the Estill County Athletic Foundation for Excellence. And that Hall of Fame is going to be twofold. Yes, it's going to recognize athletes that have earned that honor and earned that respect, but we would also like to recognize former teachers, former students that have went on and been in elected office, or been a doctor, or been a professor at the University of Kentucky for 35 years, that has contributed something to society above and beyond athletics. And now that I'm getting ready to talk to you about the very last thing, I think we've even got a place that we can honor those individuals, and got a brand new place that's about 100 foot long, that has a big 8 and 9 foot wall on it, that we can do that. So we're going to have that discussion, and we're going to begin it. Now listen, we may not be able to do it with booster clubs this year, but we are meeting with them right now, and we're putting strict limits on what they can raise. We're not going to allow a football boosters club to raise $20,000 and spend it. They can't do it.
But
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
have this question, okay, and I'm just throwing this out there. Is band cost a lot more than baseball? Baseball costs more than golf, for instance, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't, I don't see how you can put a limit on it.
Well, you can, from the standpoint that some sports do require less, so those parents would be asked to raise less money.
But the thing you get into is there's certain parents that does it all, and then you've got parents that don't do nothing. I've been there,
Yeah.
I've done it for years.
And you've got that right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you're always gonna
Yeah.
have that.
And you've
There's no
got,
way to get around it.
and you've got no accountability in any of your booster groups. They don't even do their red book and do the things that they need to do to report. So that makes us as a board accountable for that.
And see, that's something that,
That's where we need to step up, and make them do their red book.
because when I was on the booster and the treasurer for dance, I mean, literally, I had one of these, everything was wrote down, what it was spent
Yep.
for, down to the penny, that's what they have to turn in. They don't have to turn that in every month like they used to?
Well, they're supposed to, but we have to beg, plead, borrow, ask for an arm and leg, and, and we just don't get the information we do. And then they'll turn in a list of officers, but it's just basically a puppet regime where they turn in names, but you have one person that's making every decision, that's doing everything. And the bottom line is that you either work, how this works in these school systems that do this, and there's several that do it, how it works is you either work or you don't get anything. If softball decides not to work, they don't get anything. They don't get anything from the foundation. They don't get to raise money on their own. They have to raise it within the foundation, and then they're going to get money. For instance, the 120 seats that's in the gym that are $120 a piece, that's being sold as season packages. There's already been 81 of them sold. That money is going to go in that foundation.
But then how do you decide who gets the money, is what I'm saying, like. how do
Based
you
on those
decide-
that work and based on what their needs are, that's how you decide.
So I think I don't mean to overstep, and let's clarify this if I'm wrong. If the band is needing a select amount of money, just due to so many kids doing that,
Yes.
it's a requirement to have this amount of money to do this, and this, I think that will still be included in that.
Well, before we get an uproar going here,
Okay, that's
band is separate.
Band is
Band
a
already has a
501c3
501c3 organization.
Right.
They're separate.
That I
The
did.
band is out here raising their
But
own
I
money.
thought with
They're
that,
doing their
you
own
couldn't
thing.
Separate, you know what I'm saying, like boys, like if you give the boys basketball team so much money, then you had to give the girls so much of that money.
Supposed to be exact same
Yeah,
amount.
that's what I'm
Equity.
saying.
Title IX.
Well, why can't you consolidate them like soccer, boys and girls? We are one booster club.
Well, we're saying because
Why can't girls
they've
basketball,
never,
boys
they've
basketball
never
be
been
one?
able to do it, Carrie. I mean, and listen, it's not just us.
And I think.
It's not just us, it's everybody that
Right.
does this. You get the boys and girls teams fighting, one wants this, next thing you know, they fall plumb apart and they just go their separate ways. And then there's no control, and then it makes your job of your athletic director, it's miserable on them. Because,
I guess I was just blessed with,
Yeah.
good
Well, yeah,
8
when-
years of soccer. I mean,
yeah,
because
when
we
you
had a
got that.
wonderful.
And then, the big group out there that is the Title IX issue, and they make some allowances for that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, any school that has a football program is never going to meet, I'm sorry, there's somebody asking for use the parking lot. You're never gonna get equitable spending between boys and girls as long as you got a football program. It's just not gonna happen. Because number one, football is the most expensive sport to begin with, and there's no girls' sport to offset it. Guys, it takes $700 to put every football player on the field the first Friday night. By the time you pay $200 for a helmet, $200 for shoulder pads, $150 for uniform, all the other little things, the cleats, you're out $750. You dress 50 kids, I mean, it don't take long to figure out. 10 kids is $7,500. Next thing you know, you're out $40,000 putting a football team on the field.
But football, baseball, the big teams would have the opportunity to start their own 501.
Well, no, it would be under one 501c3. Every sports team would be under that 501c3. We would put it under a 501c3. But when football parents know they already know they're going to help raise more money. So you can do, Tammy, by what you do is you look at, okay, what does the uniform cost? What are the things they need? What do they need in terms of travel? And you can get an amount that you've got to have per kid.
Yeah.
Then you ask yourself, okay, what is the school going to pay for? And then it comes off that amount. So then let's say they need to raise $100 per kid. So let's just say they need to raise $5,000, and that's what the football boosters would be asked to raise.
So basically, every sport would turn in a budget.
They would turn in a
And they would
budget.
know what they had to raise, and we would follow that budget.
Which is what
to
we already
disperse
do at
the
the high
money.
school in terms of the ticket money. We tell them this is your budget. But what's the part of that that's missing is then that the Boosters Club, they know, well, we need $4,000. Well, then the next thing you know, boosters, they decide, well, we want this big run through. So we're going to buy a big run through. And then the next thing you know, well, we want to take charter buses to our away game. So they decide they're going to pay for charter buses. And then that's what gets throwing everything out of whack, because if you get a real good boosters group like Carrie's talking about that raises $7,000 or $8,000, and then you can say, well, the boys soccer team just didn't raise that much. Well, guess what? Title IX could care less. They're telling you as a board, you spend $8,000 in girls soccer and you spend $3,000 in boys, that's still a Title IX violation.
I know that, but I'm just saying, I don't think I've been around it too long, I don't think it'll work.
Well, we're going to meet.
Altogether.
We're going to meet. We'll see. And if it doesn't work,
And it's not taken away from anybody that's been involved in a booster. It's not saying they don't work, they don't do their job, they don't do their part. We're not pointing out anybody. We just went to KSBA meeting, and there were several different classes that talk specifically about this and the liability that puts on each one of us on the board. And so we talked about it. I think some of you all were in that discussion about how do we fix some of this problem, and do we need to start having these discussions to move forward. And I think that's what Mr. Saylor is trying to say right now, is we need to have some frank discussions about the direction we need to go with fundraising and money and accountability and all of those things, because we had 2 years ago $30,000 missing from a booster club. Am I telling it correctly?
yeah, and there's still warrants pending on
And
that
there's
person.
warrants that are out for that person.
So there's been charges filed on that, and there's warrants pending on that. And listen, we may not be able to do it, but I tell you what, overall I found in this county is most people are level-headed they're willing to work together. And I think if we can present a good enough package to them to let them know, you're getting ready to have 120 seats at football. Well, those tickets can be put in. Here's what happens. We all know what happens. The people that play in the fall, they hit the pavement, and then by the time it gets to spring, there's no money left for track and tennis, and softball and baseball have to work their rear end off to get money because businesses have already committed their advertising dollars. So our businesses are getting the crap beat out of them, guys. They are.
We wear our businesses out.
They're getting the crap beat out of them, and they're trying to support. And how can you, if you're honchos, how can you decide I'm going to do something for football, but I'm not doing something for tennis if they come ask me? Or what about baseball? Or throw in there, and I'm just throwing the honchos out. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Carhartt. It doesn't matter if it's the Estill Medical Clinic. There's only so much money that our businesses can do, and we're wearing them out. So if we can work together to decide that if each team only needs this much money, then we don't have somebody raising an extra $10,000. So, I mean, I think it's a good opportunity for everybody to come together. I don't know, it may blow up in our face and we may be right back here next spring and nothing's been done. But let's at least explore it and see what we can do.
And talking about this like that, the perfect example is, and I think about this and talking to someone the other day about the bass team.
Yeah.
So, how does the bass team fundraise? I mean,
Their parents,
I mean,
they pay for it.
that's what I'm saying.
Their
I mean,
parents.
it's almost impossible for them to, well, you know, we're gonna go to the fishing tournament, hey, y'all come out here and donate money or whatever, or buy
But honestly,
concessions.
it's really
I mean,
hard.
just-
That's right, it's really hard to track that because
It is.
who's doing that?
Exactly.
Probably the daddy that owns the boat.
Yep.
Yep,
So what's that daddy having to do? He's paying for all the gas.
yep.
He's pulling the boat down there, he's pulling it back, and I mean, we're providing some liability insurance, and I'm sure they're raising most of their money. They've got a little bitty budget
Very little.
at the school, very little.
Yeah.
And it's coming straight out of the parents' pockets. Well,
I guess my main concern is, okay, so the bass team raises $12,000 because they plan on doing all these tournaments, do this. Well, then they can't, and they still have $8,000 of that left. Are we automatically going to say, okay, well, thank Lord we get to go to state for baseball, soccer, whomever, but they need $4,000 that they didn't raise
Oh, we gonna-
because they did.
well, we're never gonna let them raise $12,000.
I mean, I'm just saying
Yeah.
hypothetically. I mean, because
Yeah.
we don't know if that bass, you know, we hope we're gonna go catch that 20-pound bass. We might catch a 2-pound bass.
Yeah, might
You know,
not catch a
soccer-
one.
Right, soccer, we want to win regional,
Right.
state, whatever. But who's to say, unfortunately, we might not, so there's gonna be this money left over. And then hopefully our basketball team does well, but they are $2,000 short. If they
Well,
raise-
here's what's happening
See what
now,
I'm
Carrie.
saying?
Here's what's happening now. Red Book says basically that if you raise $8,000 this year,
Right.
and you only spend 3 of it during the season, you got $5,000, they want you to get rid of every bit of that money because it needs to be spent on this year's kids. So what do? They go out and buy them jackets, and they buy them big old pictures, and they buy all this stuff. And then you got the next team, they don't have that money. So what do they get?
Start
They
from
get a
scratch.
certificate of participation. Okay? Then
Like I
the
said,
next
it's-
thing you
it's a
know, you got a
discussion for
parent,
another
and that's a
night,
girls'
so,
team.
yeah.
That's a girls' team. They get a certificate of participation, but your boys got a jacket. They got a ring because they won the regional tournament. They got a big old poster picture, and the next thing you know, I'm a female parent, and I'm saying, hey, this is not equitable.
Right.
And I think too that, well, so past practice, how we've done this and the whole division has definitely not worked in our favor.
No.
Calling out that one sport that happened in, you know,
Yeah.
so it's definitely worth some conversation, I think, and, you know, what happens? I mean, what do you think? I mean, what if something great comes out of this situation? You know, what if everybody's treated fairly? What if, you know, there's a lot of what ifs, but by not talking about it, I think it stays the
there are
way it
other-
is, you know, and
There are other school districts that are doing it very successfully, so.
Well, and here's the
I think
dangling
it's-
carrot. I'm sorry, Donna.
No, go ahead. No,
I'm sorry.
I
didn't
just
mean
think
to
it's
interrupt
worth looking into. I mean, and like I said, we're not saying anything bad about any
They're
one
working their butts
person or
off.
any sport. They're working their butts off.
Oh,
you.
yeah.
They're
But
working their butts
I
off.
think there needs to be some tighter control because every one of us sitting here is responsible for that money.
I think we can make their jobs easier. I think we can make it more equitable. And the dangling carrot out of all this is that we can get a Hall of Fame out of this. We can get a 501(c) organization that can do the fundraising that's needed to have that Hall of Fame. You can tie all your concessions from our games can go into that fund. Every concession that was done in my former high school went into a fund that funded non-revenue sports. Football didn't need that money. Heck, on a Friday night, we took in $12,000 at the football game ticket sales. They don't need $3,000 worth of concession money, but who does? Tennis and track does. That's where that money went to.
And where I see where you're going with this. I mean, and listen, I'm a softball guy. I love softball, but I also know that for the University of Kentucky, football pays for that softball team.
Yeah.
Basketball pays for that track team. There's not that many people coming to watch a
Right.
track meet. It's just not happening.
Football and basketball will pay for themselves with
Right.
ticket sales, but the concessions from those games can go to fund the things that you need in other areas. And that's what it can do. Let's just see where it goes. It may go nowhere, but I think it's a good choice. Here's other. As we've looked at the lettering on this pedway, as you know, there was supposed to be 7-foot letters that was on that back wall, that pedway. And at night, it was gonna light up. And we were gonna be able to see that from the road at night. Well, once we got up there and got to looking on our last visit, you all saw all of the structural steel that was in those windows.
Yeah, it's not.
And then when you put those letters on that back wall,
Can you see them?
they're gonna be blocked. So you're only gonna get a glancing shot going down the road. You may be able to see engineers, or you might just be able to see Jen, or Nears, or if you're lucky. So I started asking, what's another option? Well, you all know the window clings that are on the gym doors. So the option would be, why don't we just take the window cling material and put them on the windows? Then there's no structural steel in front of it. And this would be what your view would be. And that's just a couple different options. One is the white. And I don't know, Jeremy, if you want to hold this up in
Can
front
they
of
not
the
put
camera and maybe.
some
I
type
thought
of
he was
split?
just gonna put the E flush on the outside, is what I thought.
See that?
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe
Just like-
you all could let them
Can
see
there not
it.
be like
But,
some lights attached to the building?
and see,
Floodlights.
engineers is only gonna be crammed on one side, so there was nothing on the other side over there where Estill is. So this was an idea, well, why not take the window cling? It goes on the inside of the window. Remember that that pedway is not air conditioned. So of course, this would help block some of the heat as well
Reflected.
in there. But then, instead of worrying about seeing it at night, you're gonna see this during daylight hours. So when you come during the daylight hours, this is what you're gonna see. You're either gonna see, and these are just a couple examples. This was white background with the blue letters, with the flying E separating Estill and engineers. There's not enough room to put county, so we had to come up with something. So I thought Estill is a good thing, and then engineers with the flying E. We also looked at it, if you go blue, and Peter and I got to look at this when they sent this to me today. It's blue with blue letters, but really the letters should be white.
Yeah.
Estill and engineers should be in white on that as well, along with that flying E. What do you all think about that as the option instead of the letters in the back? Because the letters in the back isn't gonna work.
With reflection and cutting down on the heat, we would go with the white.
That was the advantage of the white.
But let me ask this, can we not put some type of light system on the outside to showcase those letters?
Just like the
Floodlights.
it's like it's out in
Floodlights.
front of it and it's actually
Run
be on
underneath.
this bottom here.
Run
And
underneath
just
that.
We could look into that eventually to see if it would matter. What you'd have to do is run some type of electricity down through there and put lights off that pedway, whether it was over the top
Top or
or underneath, flying up. And
The
we could
other-
do that later on.
The other thing about this,
No, ours is the same.
Okay, we need 2
Oh, I'm
whites.
sorry.
I was like,
I
I
need
don't
two
know what I'm
whites.
seeing different.
Who doesn't have white?
But I kept thinking that
Who didn't have
theirs was
white?
On the
Ten
back.
vote.
You have one blue and you should
Because
have
I was like, I'm not seeing the difference here, but
I
okay.
have it, them too.
and there's white.
There we
See, I
go.
was looking, I thought theirs was supposed to be
Okay.
white, there.
Now, the only other thing,
Okay,
if
we
you
got
chose the
that.
blue, if you chose the blue, it doesn't need to be blue letters.
No, it needs to be
It needs
white.
to be white letters.
That's why I kept looking at it, I was like, oh.
But that's where your heat's gonna come in when the sun's shining there.
So my
but the
question,
other issue with it, besides being heat reflective, would be that if there was an active shooter and there
They
was
could see.
somebody in the pedway,
Right.
they couldn't see through the glass to see who was in the pedway.
Can you see out the?
You can
That's what
see
I
out.
said.
If you're
You
on the
see out.
pedway, you
Can't
can
see
see
in.
outside, but
that's
they
a
can't see
security, I mean, that would
you.
be a great security.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't see you from the inside.
Yeah.
Now, the deal with that, at night, you cannot read the letters, but you can see who's on the pedway, but we don't have students there at night. There's not gonna be students on the pedway at night because we're not in school. And then instead of using those letters, and I about died today when they told me those letters for engineers in that crosswalk was going to be $8,000. That was what we paid for those in contract. That's how those got marked up. We would just do a deductive change order on those and get our money back. And then this here, now this window clean's expensive. It's $14,000, but it's covering every window in that pedway. We were getting basically 9 letters.
Why couldn't you have the blue, the E blue and the white?
You could probably fix it any way you want. I
Because
We can
think this
fix
was
it
the
any
just
way we
a-
want.
engineers is,
It was just
they're in
an
blue, but I mean,
example.
Yeah, we can fix whatever combination we want to.
because you've got,
I do think that
You
we
have the
probably
white, the E
need to
needs to be
look at
blue.
the
lighting
E
it
needs to be
up.
blue.
Yeah.
In terms of the white.
Now, I'm talking
The
about
blind E
the
needs to be blue.
floodlights underneath.
Yeah, and we can come back with, we
But that
can
makes sense.
contract
Look
that.
this.
We probably don't want to do it as part of the project
it is great.
because we'll pay a lot of overhead.
Yeah.
But we could look at maybe our electricians or whatever, how we could light it up. The trade-off is here, you were only gonna be able to see the letters on the crosswalk
If nothing else,
at
just over
night.
the E.
Yeah, you could just put it on the E, that's right.
I mean, that way that's showcasing our flying E.
I mean, it could just involve one light. I mean, we could look at that. But the trade-off is here, you're gonna see it during all daylight hours
Right.
instead of seeing the,
I still
at
think
night.
blue E.
And of course, what
awesome.
happens at night,
And I think
awesome.
white would be.
Yeah,
the best
after
way to reflect the
midnight,
heat, 'cause it's gonna be hot.
I can tell you, I'm not gonna drive
Oh,
down
yes.
from the mountain, just
That's a
come
cool
down and
day.
look at the letters lit up. So,
I can agree with you.
there wasn't gonna be much time that you's gonna get to see those lit letters on the back of the pedway. I think this is a better option.
True.
So do you all like the white background?
Yeah, but I think the E
Needs to be blue.
So the white background, I don't have, somehow I didn't get those printed. So the white background with the E blue and then the trim, okay,
Right.
I understand. Let me,
Because look
you
at
care
that.
if I type that on there, Don?
Like, look at this. I mean, look at our E, because it
Yeah.
goes against what we've already started.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Be
be devil's
consistent.
advocate for just a second here.
Go for it.
Okay.
Because I think that's all awesome. It doesn't matter what color it is.
I just want.
What I think I'm wondering is, never mind, I just done answered my own question. Forget it. So those window, those are inside.
Those are inside, so they'll not weather.
They won't wither.
Now, eventually, heat's gonna
They
get
will,
to
and they
it.
will peel.
Eventually, it'll get to it, and they'll have to be at some point in time replaced. But I'm telling you, they've not, so far on our gym doors, they've not taken any beating.
For what that's just truly amazing. to
Yes, it
me.
is.
And I know it's very simple.
Now, it is,
that
and
is
we'll
just so
pay for
awesome.
this out of maintenance. It's not gonna be part of the contract. Now, it is, like I said, 14,000 to do it that way, but we're gonna get 8 back.
Right.
So really, we're getting a lot more for $6,000 extra dollars, plus we're gonna get that heat barrier if we use the white,
That's-
Plus the
yeah,
safety.
plus the safety of
issue.
it. So I think if
I mean,
you
that's
guys
the
are
most
good with
important.
that, we go with the white, the blue letters. The only thing we want the inside of that E to be blue with black trim
Yeah,
around it.
Like that.
Like that.
Just like
this.
Okay.
Because we want to stay consistent throughout the district.
I can see
And
that.
if you light it up at night, I think the white will collect that light better,
It reflects,
maybe.
yeah.
Well, and what we can do also, like we said, even if we just end up lighting the E, but we can get that done. I mean, we'd hire a lift and get the conduit run, and,
Yeah, that shouldn't be there.
I mean, I think our people can do that, and we can save some money in doing that.
That's
So-
amazing.
We got a decision on that? I mean, we don't need board action on that. If everybody's in agreement, that's what we'll do.
I'm in agreement, whatever you all think. I think it's,
I just think
amazing.
It's really awesome.
That's the E-blue.
That's the blue, that's all I want.
Donnie, you care if I keep this one? That way I'll have it in the morning. Guys, that is it for superintendent's report.
all righty.
So just one more time, one more thing before we move on.
Okay?
Just so everybody knows that the Estill County Athletic Foundation for Excellence is not a done deal. Everybody's gonna have input in it. It's not even determined if it's gonna move forward. It's brainstorming, it's trying to come up with better ways of taking care of our athletic teams and our booster clubs, and we will have more discussions about it. So before I start getting phone calls about it, it is not a done deal.
We were just asking questions to brainstorm.
Brainstorm.
That's right.
Asking
That's what all of
questions
us
to
do.
brainstorm.
Could they?
But I can tell you this, there's gonna be limits placed on our booster clubs regardless. This going out here and raising $10,000, $12,000 for travel ball and everything in the world, that's gotta come to an end. Our businesses cannot do it. Our community supports us. They've poured over $250,000 in a 5-year commitment to this area technology center. That's our community. All right, they support us in so many ways. We have got to start standing up for our small business owners. We appreciate them, but we sure don't need to be taking them to the cleaners, and we are.
Could we form a committee to parents, businesses, and
That's what Austin's trying to put
Okay,
together.
that's what we need.
Yeah, he's putting
already
a committee
moving that
together.
direction.
And one of
But
you
that would
all, if
have
you
him-
want to sit on it, Tammy, if you want to sit on that committee, I'll tell Austin to
I'll
contact you.
tell him.
That'd be a good idea.
And it'd be good to have a board member on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a lot of interest in this, that's
Because
good.
you hadn't mentioned that, so.
Tammy as member of committee. And that, I think that's
Because
great.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Tambo as member. All right, I broke my rule. I've called you Tambo on live TV.
Now everybody
Not
knows who
supposed
she
to do
is.
it.
Most people out there watching are thinking, who is Mr. Saylor
Oh,
calling?
Tammy.
All the time, I've got questions, who's Tammy? All right, so that's it for superintendent's report, so we're done with it.
All righty, board member forum. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to share, comment, question? Anything? Nope. Well, I will say this, I think it's pretty awesome that you got to make the motion on it. Give me some more.
Yeah.
I'll give you a bump on that too.
That's the one remaining one that started this whole process, and
Just to see it all come to fruition.
and y'all seeing this vision, I think you all seeing the vision that most of us just had only thought of or dreamed of, and now it's come to fruition. Our tennis team is going to look great. I mean, the place they play is going to look awesome. The track, we will do the track. They're going to look great when they're out there running around that surface like it's, you know, like what,
Professional.
yes.
We'll get a host of regional track meetings.
Yes.
So
That's
awesome.
never been done in this county.
Yep. So
We
I
don't
just-
have to use porta potties
Potties.
anymore.
Thank you, Jesus. So, but
And just the
yes,
safety issue itself.
but just in general, I mean,
Handicap access
Yes.
to all of our facilities.
Yes.
Getting people behind a fence at the football stadium and soccer stadium to
Safety.
keep people from getting into it with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it just,
Stay
I
on
mean,
pro.
And can I say one thing?
Yes, please do.
Ain't it amazing what a nickel will do?
It's crazy.
Ain't it
That's-
amazing what a nickel will do? This is all the result of a nickel. And I know there's people out there that didn't believe us.
Yeah.
They didn't believe us, but this is what the nickel did.
And I understand people had concerns. I get that completely. But I'm very thankful for you and you for kind of heading that up and Rhonda being in on that. And
Jenny Jo.
And Jenny Jo and y'all just to continue to push, going out in the community, sitting and listening to people's complaints, you know, and trying to explain it. Because I mean, I've sit through so many volleyball games that people are complaining that we have no air conditioning in the gym. You know, that's taken care of now. I mean, we are, like you said the other day, we are going to have the top-notch facilities. The band, they can get on the field and practice the same day. This Saturday, they can have a meet, or what do you call it? Competition. You know, and you can play 3 football games back to back to back with 2 soccer games and never even bat an eye. You know, it was, for the longest time, you know, our football field was called the Golden Acre because a lot of people know what I'm talking about.
How
But
many times was a game canceled because of Friday night football?
I helped coach football
Yeah.
in middle school, so if it rained on a Thursday night, we were going to the other place to play. I mean, it was very,
Drainage issue.
it was just very discomforting for those kids knowing we had to go somewhere else, and that's none of this no issue is an issue anymore.
Well,
And
the issue's gonna be having enough time to put everybody on the field that wants to be on.
That's
it.
right.
That's gonna be the issue.
They'll have to take their
Absolutely,
turns.
Absolutely.
Everybody's gonna have to take their turns. But in the spring, think about when track practice not going on, softball teams need to take infield.
You can do it.
They can take it on that turf field. You know, baseball team, I mean, it's just endless. I mean,
Yeah.
At the opportunities that it's gonna
Yes,
provide.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, every one of you should have a hard time getting through that door. Your head ought to be swelled up that big. You ought to just have so much pride in you. This is absolutely fantastic.
It's just like what I told everybody at the Estill Springs dedication and the bus garage dedication. I mean, it was personal for us. And Mr. Saylor always tells everybody it's all about the kids and it's for the kids. And it was personal for all of us. I mean, we all had kids, and you guys sitting up here have had kids that have gone through the system.
Still
So
going
it was
through.
about the kids. And we never lost our vision and our focus for that. And once again, just like I told everybody at the dedication, if God's in something, you're not gonna fail. And I can't tell you how many prayers that I said for all of this to be a success and to, you know, go without a hitch. And, you know, I'm beyond excited and proud, and I hope everyone else that lives here in the community is as well. And it was through blood, sweat, and tears that we got this. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know, you got to pray in superintendent and you got to pray in board, and when God's in something, it's not going to fail.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Good deal.
I think
deal.
we need to adjourn though.
It's time.
It's almost time. All right, Jeremy, we have any public comments?
No, sir.
All right. All right.
And this will be the last time we'll have public comments over the internet, because now board meetings are back open as they were. So the public is invited to attend, and we'd love to have you. If you want to know what's going on in your school system, come out to a board meeting or watch us on
You too.
YouTube.
All right. All right, I need a motion to adjourn because I'm starved to death.
Me too, I'm calling Burger Barn.
All right. And Sheila with the motion, second, Tambo, Hardy. All in favor?